Welcome to AromaticChat, the podcast that introduces you to registered, clinical, and certified aromatherapists around the world. Every other week, my mom sits down with a different aromatherapist to learn about their aromatic journey and how they use the plants that God has given us in their lives and their businesses. AromaticChat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching, and your host is my amazing mother, Melissa. She is a master transformational coach and a registered aromatherapist.
Hey friends, welcome to podcast episode 105, Aromatic Chat with Tanya Moulding. Tanya blends expertise across multiple disciplines as a clinical aromatherapist, massage therapist, Reiki practitioner, educator, botanical perfumer, and writer. Balancing her part-time role in oncology and palliative care with the NHS, she brings a unique therapeutic perspective to her work. Tanya is in demand for creating smell training programs, essential oil workshops, conceptual fragrance ideas, and sensory learning activities for special events, museums, and heritage sites. Passionate about the olfactory arts and the historical use of aromatic plants, her innovative approach reconnects individuals with their senses and enriches their understanding of aromatic extracts. I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know Tanya just like I did. So let's get started. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for joining me on Aromatic Chat from across the pond. I love it. I love talking to people all over the world. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, the very first thing I love to get from people is just your aromatic journey. How did you end up doing what you're doing? And you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
How did you end up here?
It was not planned. I started out working in retail, and then I found a job in marketing, office work, and then I moved to a TV station, working in promotion. I was quite young. It was long hours, and I got made redundant within a year. And I'd always been interested in plants, nature, smells in particular, like any kind of smells, mainly natural aromas like wood smoke, etc. And I've always been interested in health, food, looking after yourself, physical exercise. And I got a very tiny amount of redundancy pay. And on a whim, I'd heard about aromatherapy. I'd been reading about it in various magazines, and I decided to book on a 2-year training course with the Tisserand Institute. And my friends were hugely shocked, as I had the reputation of being a party girl. I loved going out dancing all hours. I worked long hours, and I wasn't a particularly tactile person. And there was all these associations with what a therapist should be. And I was also one of the youngest on the course. But I joined. It was the most amazing 2 years of my life. I studied at weekends, practiced on lots of people, honed my skills, and the relationship between a therapist and a client I found truly sacred. And obviously over the years, I've developed my maturity and my client skills and expanded my knowledge of essential oils and aromatics. And I continue to learn. And it was the best training I ever did. And taken quite a while to get to where I am. There's been lots of twists and turns and hiccups with, world crash, COVID. So you do have to pivot quite a bit. So hence the few hats I've accumulated on my travels. But but I mainly started to work in clinics, so yoga centers, and for corporations. So I did a lot of corporate well-being work. And then I fell into teaching after about 8 years of therapy work. And I love teaching, and I combine my teaching with my aromatherapy practice. But the teaching is really stretching out now. It has changed a lot over the past 10 years, with it becoming more mainstream with like events and looking at how smell it inveigles its way into every sphere. I think you have now museums using people to create smellscapes. You have neuroscientists looking at how smell can impact creativity, emotional well-being, whether it can affect your food intake. You have much more focus on smell training since the COVID pandemic. So I feel like it's a really exciting time to work in the sensory field, but also to still keep that one-to-one contact with clients and patients. So I've done quite a roller coaster journey. And now my current work, I work in cancer services and palliative care part-time. Again, that wasn't a deliberate move. It kind of just happened. And I was looking for something more clinical to complement my mainstream work in clinics. And now it's 50% of my work, and the rest is teaching and running events and a few bits of writing, and yes, maybe some new projects, which we can talk about later.
I love hearing all of that because in the US, it's a lot different. Aromatherapy is very different than what you have going on over in the UK.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
And yeah, you really are, because it's a respected modality.
Yes, and it's I think we have a lot more flexibility with how we practice. That can be a negative because there is a huge variation in training and skills, but also it gives you a lot of freedom. I realize in some countries it's very difficult to practice aromatherapy in a hospital setting. We still have restrictions. I mean, in England, generally aromatherapy and complementary therapies are usually applied in palliative care settings and cancer settings. Some private health settings, like with stroke rehab, but it's definitely not as mainstream as we would like, but it's valuable work, and I think it's hugely effective in those fields. Yes, it's a privilege, to work there.
Yeah. So how in the world did you get into the palliative arena?
I had been looking for a few years for a more clinical setting in a hospital. I had volunteered. I spent a year volunteering at a hospital in central London in the evening after work, and you went to all different departments. So gerontology, treating cancer patients, pregnancy, mental health unit, which for a 21-year-old was a little bit scary because I hadn't really been prepared, but it was lovely. And you're mentored while you're there. But I saw a position come up in a hospice, which is very rare to see, a paid position. Most positions within cancer care and hospices are volunteer positions. I applied and I got the job. It was for 5 hours a week, which is a very small shift. And I stayed there 13 years. And over those 13 years, I built up my hours as the service got more funding and was more popular, and we increased our service to more patients. I worked there 3 days a week, and it's the most amazing experience. And it was only because of COVID that nearly the whole service was decimated, basically. But the type of the patients we saw, I mean, we had such huge impact on their lives, and they had a huge impact on my life. For many of them, although it's palliative care, there is an assumption that it's like the last chance saloon to visit a hospice. Our hospice had a ward where patients would come for respite and for end-of-life care. But we also had a day centre where patients would come for social respite, to be seen by clinicians, and also to access complementary therapies. It was always filled with laughter and sharing and joy, and such characters from all backgrounds, all cultures, and every patient who came in made a friend with another patient, or they benefited from that socialization. It's more about the time you spend with that patient. I did find with all the patients I met, 50% was due to the actual relationship between you both, and the ability to talk and chat and be treated as an individual and not somebody who had a disease. That was an eye-opener for me, because you study the oils and you look at the clinical and therapeutic value, and you do, what are we treating today? And to be honest, that is like at the back of your mind in palliative care and hospice care. But it was I really miss it, I must admit. I've moved to a slightly different service now.
What are you doing now?
I now work in cancer services, which is in a big cancer centre in London, but a bit further out. And it's on the grounds of a huge hospital. And it's quite known for cancer treatment, so all types of cancers, and it's active treatment. So it's not a palliative service. And because COVID affected our ability to see patients, I changed work because I was getting a bit frustrated with being at a desk. But this new service, I now manage a complementary therapy team. So I'm like a team leader. And we were meant to have more hands-on, but at the moment we're still restricted because our therapy rooms are being used by another part of the hospital trust. So it's a little frustrating. I get a little bit impatient with not being able to see patients. It's one of those things in a clinical setting, you're always part of a chess piece in the greater game of healthcare. But I'm keeping fingers crossed we should be able to see more people one-to-one in the next few months. But we're running group sessions, so we do group ear acupuncture, relaxation, which is hugely popular, and remote services, so aroma sticks, telephone, like remote Reiki and telephone relaxation. And some just on the ward at the moment, like we're doing a trial massages with one of the cancer departments for the bedded units. So slowly thereafter 8 months, we're slowly building it back up. So
yeah, you're laying the groundwork to get ready to get back in there with the patients one-on-one. That's incredible.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a big learning curve for me, I must admit. I'm used to working on my own, managing my own day. So to be responsible for a service and eight therapists, I think we have. So as part of a bigger, wider team. So yes, it's exciting. I'm developing new skills, as they say. So,
that's great. You've mentioned COVID several times, and we know that essential oils have been a really critical part of helping people regain their olfactory system.
Definitely.
Bringing that back online. Do you have any favorite essential oils for smell training? Or
we have a charity in the UK which is probably quite well known globally now, because I think they've done work in America. It's called Fifth Sense, like the number Fifth Sense, and they specialize in smell disorders. And they were very under the radar for a number of years, but I did some training with them, and they developed a smell kit. And it's strange because I sometimes use those intuitively, only a few, with patients who had anosmia or short-term smell loss. So I think the classics were clove, lemon, eucalyptus or peppermint, and rose, or geranium if you can't afford rose. And I've created like a mini kit that I did send out to some clients and patients and given them the smell training kind of activity, and many have noticed a big improvement. Some people didn't, and I do think that's just it's very unique and independent, dependent on the individual. But within the hospital, we gave people smell training sets to try at home, and we had really quite positive work, to be honest with you. Very positive results. I think eucalyptus is a really good one to use. Because even the plant matter, if you can get fresh eucalyptus or even dried, it's still quite powerful. I found a lot of people responding very well to that. I think it's something to do with the menthol. It definitely triggers like a trigeminal reaction.
Even if you're not familiar with eucalyptus, the constituents within eucalyptus, we're all familiar with at some level.
Exactly. Yeah. And we also encourage people just to try and keep their environment as clear as possible, to stay hydrated, and to also use their senses in cooking, in gardening, in any activity whereby you get the opportunity to smell something. Train. It's an atomic habit, a little bit every day.
Right, a little bit every day, but you're also taking a really holistic view, like every area of your life, there's something to smell.
Yeah, exactly, there is. And I think that gets forgotten, even though aromatherapy is my passion. I do believe it's nice sometimes to have an absence of scents, to just allow the breeze to blow in and to go into the natural world as much as you can, because then it's a little bit more subtle, and it does train your senses better, because you do have to filter quite a lot of sensory information. And I do think that's good training in itself. And then you can extrapolate that and create a choice and choose stronger, direct aromas from a bottle, because they're very concentrated, as we know. And I think it's nice to be able to offer that smorgasbord or palette of choosing, how you wish to smell things.
You brought up Reiki as one of the complementary therapies that you
Yes.
guys offer. How does aromatherapy and Reiki work together?
We'd offer like a foot massage or a hand massage and then finish with Reiki at the end, especially if they were very poorly and fragile and they could only bear like 5 minutes of touch. And in order to extend the treatment, so it's not just 5 or 10 minutes, I would give Reiki through the feet or to the hands. I do think if the aroma is something that triggers something in a patient, the Reiki time allows them to kind of absorb it more. I don't know, for some people, they're very sensitive. Some people are not, which is fine. But I have found with some of the patients, especially in palliative care, the Reiki allowed them to like sink into the aroma after, because it was very gently in the air. And yeah, they could go into a reverie. Particularly, we have some patients who had cognitive impairment or dementia or Alzheimer's. And definitely for patients like that, you can see visually in their face that they were so much more relaxed and going into, I don't know, the palaces in their mind, trying to, whether they're accessing a memory or not, it's wonderful to be able to see them with a little bit of peace. But I definitely think there is more to be explored with Reiki and aromatherapy, definitely.
We know, right? We know that
Yes.
the aromas trigger the limbic brain, which is
Yeah.
our memory center and all of that. So like you're saying, they have that
Yeah.
aromatic treatment, get into that mindset,
Yeah.
and then to help them finish processing it. That
Exactly.
would be something worth,
Exactly.
looking
Yeah.
into. So one of the things that comes up pretty regularly when I'm speaking with other aromatherapists is that burnout, right? We
Yes.
go, 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 and maybe the career isn't taking off the way that we think it should. Maybe our business isn't flourishing the way that we would like it to. And you've been doing this for quite a while. So how do
Yeah.
you maintain the resilience in making your
Yeah.
aromatherapy career
Yeah.
happen? How do you do that?
That is a tough question, actually, because I've been very lucky in that I think I was born with a very high natural energy state. Like, it is kind of dipping quite a bit and now in this stage of my life, but I've always had huge amounts of energy and I did diversify. So it took me a long time to build up my work and I've lost it twice over with, pandemic, etc. So I've always made sure I've had a few eggs in lots of different baskets. So I started out working part-time. I always had another job to support me financially, which I think is really important because you don't want to be bound by material wealth but we live in a world where you need to pay rent and it creates a lot of stress if you have that financial stress. I must admit I've always eaten well. Diet is my savior. I've made sure I prioritize my what food I eat, and I do like a drink and I do have late nights, but I always try and I think it's a balance. I make sure I always do have something fun to do, whether it's seeing a friend, going to a gallery, dancing, whilst trying to plan my work. And we all work hard if we have this kind of career. But I think I did diversify at quite a young age. I made sure I had 2 or 3 clinics, corporate work. Then I developed my teaching. And to be honest, if I had a slow spell or it's a bit tough, I'd do any office job, or I had friends who worked in retail who asked me to come and work for a day in a shop. It's not very well paid, but it's extra money and you meet people. It's always looking at opportunities to network and also to rest your brain so that you're not always thinking and overseeing it. But definitely I think having some fun outlet is hugely important. You have to find that thing which is just for you. And yeah, diet. Oh yeah, my food is my medicine. For me, it's been very simple to maintain that resilience. And I did set quite strict boundaries when I worked in clinics that I would do 3 clients and then I would always take an hour lunch. Always, always, always. I know lots of therapists who booked back to back, but I always made sure I had a break, a mini break. And I still did 6 to 8 clients a day, but I made sure I paced myself. And that can be difficult when you're starting out.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a really healthy practice early
Yeah.
on of
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
think I was doing that, but I think it's because I didn't go straight into it full time. I worked and did weekends for a good 6 to 7 years. And also, I don't have a family, I don't have children. And that's a huge difference for therapists who have, dependents, because you do have to find a way to get extra support. And I've got friends in the industry, I've got friends who are not in the industry, and that helps you, not get too into a spiral about overthinking things. So
Well, and I
yeah.
love what you said about, you would have the time to go and work in retail for a day to give your
Yeah.
mind a break. I
Yes.
love that, because
Yeah.
it's so easy to just go, 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 and
Yeah.
not realize that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're on the edge of burnout.
Yeah. It's a tough one, because sometimes people aren't aware that they're burning out.
So
Yeah.
I imagine you have some really great stories about how you have seen aromatherapy impact a client. Would you be willing to share one of your stories?
Yes, I have. There's been a number over the years, but I must admit, trying to dig those out can be a bit of a challenge. But there's one person I remember, and this is, I think this truly reflects the holistic, the deep holism that we're always trying to stay focused on, and the fact that it's about empowering people to make the changes themselves. You can't make something better unless the root is tackled of why it's caused in the first place. And I was working in a gym, it's a big health club. I would always did a Saturday. This lady came in, average, probably in the mid to late 30s, had a teenager, a husband, and everything was a bit mundane. She worked in a special needs facility. She was really overwhelmed, exhausted, quite a poor diet, probably mainlining sugar, to keep her energy up. Loved her job, but when she got home, all the housework, hormonal teenager. And she came just for just to have a bit of space really for herself. She didn't really exhibit any particular clinical symptoms. She just said, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm hormonal. Did a massage, picked some nice oils. I can't remember which ones I chose, because this is quite a long time ago. And in that first session, you could feel her just opening up and releasing. And we had a little chat afterwards. And to be honest, when people chat, it's not that you're trying to give them advice. You just hope to suggest things that they might be willing to open up to. And I said, do you have any time to yourself where you could just go and do something fun, like belly dancing, or there was a new chakra dancing thing, which was the craze in London for a while. And I said, just to tap back into your femininity, or to get back into your body, because if you're eating a lot of sugar and not even prioritizing your food intake. Anyway, she said she'd go away and think about it, and I just encouraged her to drink a bit more water. So for every time she reached for a biscuit at work, to have a glass of water. And when she came back the following week, she said, I've drunk like 10 glasses more water than I normally do. The thing is, she actually did it. She drank water. And I think that's the difference with a lot of clients or patients, is that she really wanted to change and find a healthier pattern. So she went back to work and made a pact with all the other women. They decided they're going to put apples and grapes and, get rid of all the biscuits and sugar. So her diet at work was a bit better. And she came home and she said, oh, actually, I've got an old exercise bike. And I brought that out and put it in front of the television after I'd cooked a meal. And while I was watching TV with my husband and my son, I rode a bike. And she said that 20 minutes, half an hour of exercise made her feel so much better. So over the next 3 to 6 weeks during the massage, she just changed. She felt so much more positive. She had time to think about what other things she could do in her home life and in her work life. And at the end of the 6 weeks, she'd changed her diet a little bit. She'd taken up a bit more exercise at home. And because she felt more empowered, that she had the power to make small changes and see the benefits of them, she told her son to help out more around the house. I did suggest while we were discussing, is there anything, you could get more support at home? And her husband started to take more notice of her and help out. And I don't feel like I did that much, but I feel that space that she had over those 6 weeks really benefited or kickstarted her. And then I didn't see her for 6 months, 8 months. She came back and visited me for a session. I did not believe the person I saw in front of me. She looked totally different. She'd totally revamped her diet. She'd maintained like more healthy eating patterns. She managed stress better at work, and she'd got her and her son and her husband out to do like more exercise with them. So I don't know, she said, I just feel so much better. And she said, and I think coming to you triggered that. I knew there was something that needed to change, but I didn't know how to do it. So I think just the talking process and having that time in your body to feel connected. But she definitely made those choices, whereas a lot of people don't stay, they want to come back and be fixed in many ways. But that was amazing to see her change so dramatically.
Yeah, I love that story because, I asked, is there anything about aromatherapy, a story about aromatherapy? And the reason she came to you was for the aromatic intervention, but what she got from it was habit change.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. But you find when people come to you, they just want to feel better. And it's a way of carving out space, but it feels kind of productive. Like, oh, I'm going to have a massage because my back is aching. But you realize over 3 sessions, there's so much more that's coming out. And it is usually existential stuff and emotional stuff. And it does give a space for people to process that. And, if they become addicted to aromatherapy and essential oils, and you can educate them a bit for their ongoing well-being, then that is, I take my bow, take my hat off. That's what I'm there for. But and it's great fun when you create a blend and people are literally transported, and then you've hit the nail on the head, that they just feel like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking with my sister earlier today about scents and aromas and how they trigger those memories. And she said, there's this memory I have of walking with Mamaw. That's our form of endearment for our grandmother.
Oh, I thought so. That's so lovely. Yeah.
Walking with Mamaw. And she's like, I was a little girl and it's a really fuzzy memory, but we were digging up roots. And she's like, I can't remember what root it was. I said, was it sassafras? And she's like, that's what it was. It was sassafras. And she says, anytime I walk past something that smells like sassafras, I'm immediately transported back to being a little girl in the woods, digging up roots with Mamaw. And isn't that how scents are? Man, they just transport us.
They do. And they are unbidden. You cannot control them. It's the one sense that you cannot switch off, unless of course you happen to have a smell disorder. Like your eyes, you can shut them, wear dark glasses, you can wear ear pods, you can avoid touching, but to avoid smelling is impossible unless you've got a really bad cold, which is unfortunate.
So what are some of your other passions outside of aromatherapy?
I'm a bit of a dilettante, I think. I used to dabble in lots of different things. Like I used to do a lot of art at school, and I don't really get a chance to do that much really now. I love dancing. I think dancing is one of my passions. I just like freestyle dancing. So I used to just go to clubs, rock, pop, disco, and I have done various classes over the years. But to just move to music, I think is the greatest freedom. And I do tend to recommend quite a few of my clients or patients, if there's a movement based. Definitely, it's really good for relieving stress. It definitely is one of my biggest stress relievers. Yeah, I love cooking. I love making like weird concoctions or finding a weird ingredient. And I love thinking up bizarre scent concepts. I work a lot with art galleries and things like that. So yeah, anything to do with books and creating.
I view people like you as visionary. You're right.
Yeah.
You're always on the lookout. You're looking for the next thing, very excited about what's coming. So what do you think are some of the future applications for aromatics?
Oh, I definitely think there's going to be a lot more exploration into smell and neuroscience, how it influences behaviors. I think that's a massive area, especially anything to do with creativity, depression. Do you think there's going to be a lot more work around, really drilling down into how scent can unlock trauma? You can work with it in different areas. And I think it's its infancy, even though there's a lot of information around it. I do think going forward, it's going to be much bigger. Smell is super powerful. I think we're still climbing the mountain to the apex of what it can offer.
So the mission of the podcast is for people to find you and connect with you.
Yes.
How can they find you?
They can find me at my website, which is not necessarily my aromatherapy clinic site. It's theperfumemistress.com, and that is probably my site more for my creative fragrance work, but it's also well-being and essential oils. So you can find me there, and my Instagram handle is also at Perfume Mistress, and that's my Twitter and Facebook as well. So those are my platforms. It'd be lovely for you to visit me, and you can sign up to my newsletter.
Excellent. So as we come down to the end of our time together,
Yes.
I always just like to hand the floor back over to my guests for any final words that you have, words of inspiration, anything that's heavy on your heart, whatever you'd like to share.
The world is a crazy place at the moment. It's very chaotic. There's a lot of heartache going around, and it can be difficult to steer a course through that for many people. I always, when things get tough, what's always kept me sane is, it's a really simple quote, and it's "This too shall pass." And I tell you, it's whenever I'm feeling, I don't know, self-pitying or a bit down or challenged, I just think tomorrow's another day. Like in the words of Scarlett O'Hara, the sun will rise. And to get up, do one nice thing for yourself every day, even if it's your favorite cup of tea, a walk in the park. Just really take time to do one small thing and build them up, and never give up. If there's something you really want to do, find a way to include a part of it in your life, because we're here for a long time, but it feels like a very short time. And life is meant to be enjoyed and to be fun. And I realized that from working in palliative care. Some people are privileged to age, and we should always embrace that, even though that's quite hard in today's world, where youth and looking young is always lauded. But it's know thyself and do things that really make your heart sing. It's very important. Carve out time for you, because you're worth it. Very important.
Wow, Tanya, you are a joy.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
I don't know if you've heard that recently, but you are just a joy, a ray of sunshine. Thank you so much.
If you got your favorite bottle of oil, give it a sniff. Send to yourself, tomorrow's another day. Go and crush it. Yes.
Yeah, get out there and crush it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Melissa. It's been lovely talking to you, and see you some other time.
Thanks for listening to this week's Aromatic Chat episode with Ray of Sunshine, Tanya Moulding. Check out the show notes for all of the links mentioned in today's episode. Regardless of which platform you use to listen to the show, there are a couple of places where you can leave a review: Apple Podcast or Podchaser. I would be honored if you would take a moment to leave a review for the show. Just last week, Mons left a review on Apple entitled Authentic and Engaging. Here's what Mons had to say. Melissa's podcast is a fantastic listen, bringing valuable information to the forefront. Her energy is infectious, and her honest, comfortable demeanor makes you feel at ease. She genuinely cares about the impact we aromatherapists are making in the world, and it shows in every episode. Thank you so much, Mons, for taking the time to leave a review. When you leave a review, it helps new listeners to find the show, which helps to support the mission of the show, which is to connect people with the aromatherapist that meets their wellness needs. Aromatic Chat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching. I'm your host, Melissa, life and wellness coach for the broken, exhausted, hopeless, and overwhelmed. I am a master transformational coach, registered aromatherapist, and certified body code practitioner. This is one of those rare months where there are 3 Wednesdays in the month. So you'll get to hear from 3 different aromatherapists. So I'll see you next time with our next episode. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics.